Hi guys, this is how you beat Bant. So we're gonna go ahead and we brought in our shifting Ceratops. We won game 1, by the way, versus Bant. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop a land right here. It cannot be countered. They can't counter it. It's got protection from blue. We have shifting Ceratops right there. So again, we just work around what they do. So we're able to beat Bant. Red deck wins. You have to go game 3 because their game 1 is pretty good. So we're going to pay 2 life. We are going to declare attackers before we cast anything. Simply hit them for 5. Let's pull this out. If they use a counter spell on this, that's fine. Like a Mystical Dispute, maybe, an Ether Gust. Okay, so yeah, so that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's one of their better counter spells. We do play with white. He's going to take out the Shifting Ceratops. But we're going to go ahead and draw some cards with the hyrdoid krasis. And of course, we have Finale of Devastation, where we can just search for any creature in our library, in our graveyard, with X. So we want to save that for Nissa. So right here, we're going to drop 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now, here's what I want to do. I want to Growth Spiral, and I want to drop. So the land that I want to drop. So I want to drop this land because we're going to scry. Okay, we don't need to keep on getting lands here, so we obviously just negate that down. We pop that, and our tap, and we set up our next turn, we pass, and we just go ahead. So again, he doesn't have any creatures, so this is kind of an Elspeth Conqueror's Death, that he's not able to recur any planeswalkers. He's going to bring down the Euro Titan, but again, you know, he's going to gain the 3 life, it's going to go in his graveyard, but he doesn't have enough. So this is kind of how you beat these decks. You just know how to play with them, then you know how to play against them. So, a little scary here. We do have our hyrdoid krasis. I would like to save a Mystical Dispute for next turn, is what I'd like to do. I'm presuming that he's holding a counter spell. He'd have to be holding an Ether Gust or another Mystical Dispute. Actually, you know what? We're going to go ahead and crank this out. How many can we get? We can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to go ahead and press for 6. We're going to draw 3 cards and gain 3 life regardless. Does it resolve? And it does resolve, so it does pay off. We do have Questing Beast right here, so that's what we sideboarded in. This is temporarily on the battlefield, guys, due to Elspeth Conqueror's Death. It's 3rd Saga cost, where it says return target creature, but he can't escape it yet. So it's going to go back to his graveyard. He brings out another one. So, now, if he does have to, now he does have enough cards in his, he's starting to rack up cards in his graveyard. But this is really good for us, because we can just go ahead and rip for a creature that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 converted mana cost. And if you do 10 or more, everything gets +10/+10 in haste. But we're going to save that. We're going to drop down a Questing Beast, because we know he's hurting, right? He is just really just hurting right now at this point. So we are just going to attack him while he's down. Such like life happens. I'm just joking. We're going to drop down an Arbor Grazer because we do want to get that mana. We're going to go ahead and drop that, and then we're going to pass our turn. So the great thing about Simic Ramp is we can constantly get creatures. He's going to Elspeth Conqueror's Death that again. You know, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to tap him out. So I'm going to counter this, make him tap out. Yeah, so he's going to tap out. He's going to get our Questing Beast, because that's all he can get. And we can just hit him for another 6 next turn, and we can definitely let things rip. So we're kind of in here. We can hit him for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can grab something for 8. Do we want to rip something for 8? Or do we want to... I'm trying to think what I have in the deck here. There's nothing fascinating for 8. No, we're going to draw for the cards here. We're going to bring down Risen Reef. Yep, we're going to go ahead and do that. Do we want to grab a Questing Beast? I'm trying to think what we have for 5. You know, let's save that. Let's attack. Hit him for 6. You know what? Yeah, let's rip this for 5. Let's bring down Cavalier of Thorns. We draw a card, another Cavalier of Thorns, and we do put Euro Titan in our graveyard so we can cast that if he board wipes. So you see how Simic ramp is really good? Alright, so we're back to the gameplay. He's got 3 Euro Titans, but here's the problem. To get rid of 1 out of his graveyard, he's got to get rid of 2. So he eggs out 2 other Euro Titans. So he's at 10 life, he's at 12 life, he's at 10, he's at 8, and he's done. Alright. Alright, so that is it. That's kind of like a little tutorial of, and we want them in the best of 3, as evidenced by us winning. So we want 2-0 versus Bant control. So yeah. So you see me, check me out at my diamond status, also us going mythic status. I have a deck, and we also beat a MTG Arena team member. I don't know if they're a pro, but I do know they work for Wizards and they have access to every card that they want. So we did beat them, and they were playing Jeskai Fires. So not only did we beat them, but we beat them playing one of the top decks. And it lasted 16 turns. It was like 16 turns, and they just ended up quitting. It was a very good match. They played it very well. We played very well. It was one of those matches that, like, they made a mistake. I pointed out. It's not a mistake. It's a play difference. It's how they use Teferi Time Raveler. A lot of people -3 Teferi. I don't -3 Teferi. I +1 them. Because I understand you draw a card, but you want to set up yourself for further down the road. If you -3 Teferi, then you have to keep on plus, it just takes them a while to recover. So +1ing them I think is really good, but it's just a difference of gameplay. We were not playing Jeskai Fires. But you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want to see those types of matches. Already on my channel, there's drafts, and we're going to be doing box openings. So anyway, go ahead, like and subscribe. And yeah, that's it. Like and subscribe. If you want to share the video, that's fine. But really, tell me in the comment section what you want to see, and tell me that you're a new subscriber. All right, thank you. Have a good day. Alright guys, so here's a deck list that I use. You can look at this below. I'm going to kind of turn this so you can subscribe. Again, so here's the deck list that I run, and let me kind of just view this into the other pane because it's kind of driving me nuts a little bit right there. So we use 3 Arbor Grazers. Basically, these are just things that enter the battlefield. You can put a land card from among your hand onto the battlefield. So we have 27 land, so it just makes sense that we get it out faster. 3 Leafkin Druids, not 4, is what I run. It's because they're an elemental druid. And if you have 4 or more creatures, they add 2 mana. And the reason why elementals are very important is because of Risen Reef. Risen Reef is an elemental by itself, but when Risen Reef or another elemental enters the battlefield, you can read all the text. Basically, if another elemental enters the battlefield, you draw a card. If it's a land card, you don't have to, you can put on the battlefield tapped. So it doesn't matter if you played a land earlier in the turn. This ability is a triggered ability, so it can happen. We won Euro Titan. I'm going to run 2 of these because you'll see our sideboard in a minute. We have Cavalier of Gales. It's also an elemental. Notice the kind of theme here. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards. You can put 2 cards on top of your library. Cavalier of Thorns, also an elemental. When it enters the battlefield, you take the top 5 cards. You throw them in your graveyard. But you can grab a land card and put it on the battlefield, and it comes untapped. When this dies, you can grab any card. So it says it could be a land card. It doesn't matter. You can grab any card from your graveyard and put it on top of your library, and then you have to exile this. And then, of course, we have Nissa, who shakes the world. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, you get an additional forest, and then you can make a 3/3 creature. You can make a land a 3/3 creature with haste, and it's -8 ability, which sometimes we do get to. You can search for any lands that have a forest ability in them, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then all your lands have indestructible. Then we have Agent of Treachery. So I'm going to go ahead and just pan this back down to this right down here. So then you have Agent of Treachery right there. So Agent of Treachery says whenever it enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent. And then we have you must run this. We have N Raise Forerunners. They cost 8 mana, but we're Simic ramp. It doesn't matter. And I'll show you what it works with. It works with Finale of Devastation. You can search your library and or graveyard for, so not and or, but you can search your library and graveyard for a creature with converted mana cost X or less. So you can spend 2 to cast it, then X. So if you spend 7 mana, you can get a 5 converted mana cost creature. But if you spend 10 or more, all your creatures get +10/+10 in haste until end of turn. So what you do is you grab Finale of Devastation and you fetch for this. And this says whenever this enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. So basically what's happening there is all your creatures are going to get +10/+10. And then with this ability, they're going to get +12/+12. And oh, by the way, they're all going to have haste from Finale of Devastation, and then they're all going to have vigilance and trample. So pretty much the ball game's over. And that's the reason why it's also important to run flyers, Cavalier of Gales, because there's some situations, like when you're playing versus red deck wins, where you can Finale of Devastation a Cavalier of Gales, and nothing like having a 15/15 flyer that can go over top all their creatures and just hit them and just end the game. Okay, so you're kind of seeing the deck. We also have hyrdoid krasis, and you can kind of check that out. And then our sideboard right here, we have Mystic Repeal. So we have one of these only, and put target enchantment on the bottom of its owner's library. So very good versus Fire of Interventions. Yeah. Very good versus Temur Reclamation. Also, we're seeing a lot less Temur Reclamation decks, by the way. I do have 2 Return to Natures because, again, doubling down, this kills Embercleave, this kills Fires of Intervention, Doom Foretold. So I have 2 Return to Natures in my sideboard, and only 1 Mystical Repeal. That's enough enchantment removal and or artifact removal. We have 2 Ether Gust. Basically, you can just read that card. It just speaks for itself. We have 3 Mystical Disputes because of all the blue-white control decks. This is a card that I board in. Now, I'll tell you the cards that I board in versus mono-red. I'll tell you that in a second. So we have 3 Mystical Disputes. We have 2 Lovestruck Beasts. We have 1 Euro Titan of Nature's Wrath on the sideboard, and I'll get to that in a second. We have 2 Questing Beasts. This is the must. Especially versus board wipes. Haste wins. So if they like board wipe Shatter the Sky, you bring this down and instantly hit them. Get rid of their planeswalkers. Then shift. Oops. And then, well, it's not going to allow us to do it, is it? Shifting Ceratops. It can't be countered. It's got protection from blue. And then it gets something of your choice. You can give it reach, trample, or haste. Just an all-around good creature. Okay, so when we are playing versus mono red, what typically I do, let's go back to here, is I typically will take out 1 Arbol Grazer, so that's 1 card. I'll take out Quadruplicate, which is create a token of a copy of a creature you control. Then it has Jumpstart. And Jumpstart means you can recast this card from your graveyard if you discard a card and pay this mana cost. So I'll take out 1 Arbol Grazer, 1 Quadruplicate, 1 Cavalier of Gales, so that's 3. Agent of Treachery, that's 4. I'll take out 1 Raise Runners, that's 5. Remember, we're playing versus mono red, so we need to be faster. And I'll take out 1 Finale of Devastation, so that's 6. So let's go back to our sideboard for a second. Then I'll board in 2 Ether Gusts, 2 Lovestruck Beasts, and 2 Questing Beasts. Now at times, I will take out 1 Risen Reef, and then board in Euro Titan of Nature's Wrath, another one. So it's more life gain, okay? So you kind of see how this kind of works here. So that's how I play versus mono red, and this typically versus mono red, the way that I sideboard, we have above 50% win rate. The only problem is red deck wins on turn 1. In game 1, you're more likely to lose. Okay? Red deck wins really has the mathematical advantage in the best of 1. That's why you move to the best of 3. Simple answer. when you go to the best of 3, red deck loses a lot of its win rate in games 2 and game 3 because they don't have a lot of answers. They don't have a lot of answers for this. So, and again, you board in the lovestruck beast because it's a 5/5 wall. It's a 5/5 wall. So if they Embercleave like a 2/2 creature, lovestruck will kill it. Yeah, lovestruck beast will die, but who cares? We board in the questing beast just because it's a 4/4, and again, it kills things. So, and then you can just Ether Gust. You could return an Embercleave right back to their hand. So, or on top of their library, excuse me. So, it's really hard for red, and plus, look at our deck naturally. It's got naturally a lot of big creatures. I mean, look. I mean, a 5/6, a 5/5. Then with Questing Beast, a 4/4, Lovestruck Beast, 5/5, 6/6. Hydroid Krasis can get really big. So red just doesn't have enough ammunition to really deal with us on game 2 and game 3s. The only problem is almost all the time when you're playing red deck wins, you are going to go to a game 3. And it's hard for any deck to win back-to-back games. Because remember, you're probably going to lose game 1, game 2 you're probably going to win, but it's very hard in Magic to go back-to-back. So, that being said, we do pretty good versus red deck wins, but expect your matches to go to a game 3, and that's why you have to know how to sideboard very appropriately. Because if you don't know how to sideboard, you're going to get crushed. Okay, that's why I always emphasize play the best of 3. Versus, what other decks? Versus Jizaki. We're good game 1 versus Jizaki. But since we know that they're going to be playing Jizaki game 2, what I typically do is board in 1 Mystic Repeal, 2 Return to Natures, and then I typically go in with Shifting Ceratops because it can't be countered. It can't be teferied back to your hand because it's got protection from blue. And I'll board in a Questing Beast because it kills their planeswalkers really quickly. So, because it's got Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste, can't be blocked by creatures 2 or less. And typically, you can cast Questing Beast by turn 3 because we're ramping with Growth Spirals, because we are having our lands come out with Risen Reef, because we are dropping Leafkin Druids, because we are so we're very quick. It's no surprise that we can drop Questing Beast by turn 3, kill the Teferi, hit them for 4 damage, and really that's really what I like to do. It depends on how the player plays their Jizaki deck. That's the big key. Sometimes I don't even sideboard because honestly, this deck can be enough versus Jizaki control by itself. And as I told you again, I did beat at Diamond status a Mythic MTG Arena team member. So they have access. They work for Wizards. I think they might be a pro Magic player. They're an orange, right? We beat them, and they were playing Jizaki Fires. So they were playing with one of the best decks, and we just straight up lined up and beat them. And it went. I think the game went 16 turns. I have the recording for that video, by the way. So subscribe if you want to see that. Anyway, guys, that is it. There's a lot of other things that I sideboard, but that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of what we do here. So subscribe if you want to see more videos, more pack openings. Tell me what you want to see below. Do you guys want to see Theros being opened, or mystery boosters being opened? I have a booster box of Theros Beyond Death, and also a mystery booster box as well, waiting to be cracked open. I'm deciding if I want to do that or not. But feel free in the comments to tell me. Subscribe again if you want to see more content. And tell me in the comment section that you're newly subscribed. And just subscribers, tell me what you want to see. Alright guys, until next time, thank you. Again, subscribe, hit the like button, and drop in the comments below and tell me what you think. That is it.